Excellent. What's up, everybody? This is Indie Game Business. I'm Indy. That guy way over there is Jay, and we got George Donovan right in the middle, right between us. How's it going, George?
It's good. All good.
Excellent.
It's not freezing in Canada yet, so I'm enjoying the weather.
Yeah, same here. All right, real quick, Indy, I'm having that same issue with chatbot again. It's not connected. What did you tell me to do last time to fix it?
Click the little at the bottom. There's a little man icon.
Okay. Disconnect and reconnect.
Yeah, you're gonna have to reauthorize. You probably want to reauthorize the bot as well. Okay. Always get the behind the scenes snippet of conversations. They always sound so juicy. They do. I know. I didn't hear what they were saying. I just bumped in on them. So.
Oh, we were talking about you.
I'm sure.
You didn't catch that. We'll circle back to it because I was, George and I catching up on stuff that we always like to, discuss in this wonderful industry of ours that doesn't seem to change as much as it just goes through cycles over and over and over. So we've got George with us. George is the CEO and founder of Gogii Games, who has been around for a very long time. He has won awards for being like the best boss in New Brunswick. What was that when you won best place to work? He's a good guy.
We've been around 13 years, so we've won a handful of stuff from, emerging business, technology, exporter, entrepreneur of the year for the East Coast, which was cool for Ernst & Young. That was a fairly big one for the company. But we don't have a client in the country, so we're somewhat quiet when it comes to, staying relative and local. But, we continue to pop up on people's radar. We've set up scholarships with the universities. We invest in local sports teams, do a lot of sponsorships that way. So it's fun. It's fun being rural in a very, very busy California-like industry. But 13 years into it, it's all the same people just switching hats. And, as I've known Jay for as long as I've known others, it's just fun to hang around with friends and happen to do business in the same time. So
you don't know that well. You just called him Joe. So wait, okay. So here's the big question we were talking about beforehand. What exactly does Gogii mean?
Yes.
Where'd that come from?
I had never thought about that, but where did you get the name?
So the name came from, I went off on my own after I'd sold my internet business, and I was trying to come up with a company name. We had already built 3 products that we were just ready to launch. The night before, my partner, who was doing up a logo, and we couldn't come up with a name. And everything that we thought of didn't work. This was right around when the Wii was becoming really popular. We had our Puppy Love game, which was similar to Nintendo, so we were trying to, play on that. And my son was trying to get me to play mini sticks with him. Obviously, 13 years ago, it was a long time. And when he was trying to get my attention, he couldn't get it. And I'm on the phone with my partner, and all of a sudden he's like, "What do we call it?" And he said, "Let's go, G." So my friends call me G. And he's like, "Did you say Gogii?" And I'm like, "I didn't say it. No, that was my son. He's trying to get my attention." He's like, "That's really cool. Let me run with that." Now, there's a chance that he may have been high when he was listening to this call. But that turned into a name that has now stuck with us for 13 years.
And you don't have to fight for the URL. I mean,
at the time, this was before this ice cream brand, which has been really popular in Canada, took off. We were it. And obviously our focus at the time was retail with Puppy Love and Kitty Love and Pony Love. And then with Paul and Big Fish and Real Networks and the takeoff of shareware, we jumped into that. And one of the best things I ever had in my advantage was I didn't try to build games for me. I built games for a market, and I went looking for a market that was underserved, and it was women over 35. And I learned that from a research report that I did back previously to my internet days. So I said, let's make games for older women. Let's go find out what they want. And lo and behold, they really like hidden object games.
Yeah.
So I made 60 of those.
Only a couple then, right?
Yeah. I can find objects like nobody's business.
That's what.
Yeah.
Because that's what you and I crossed over for a while as we were transitioning from our agency, and that's another. You and I were competitors way back in the day as agents.
I wouldn't really think there was competition, but sure, yeah, I could call us competitors.
The to this day, and I haven't made a hidden object game in 8 years. Yeah. And I still, when looking at something like that, I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. Yep, I can find this stuff in a heartbeat because it just like becomes ingrained in you.
Oh yeah. It's even in real life. You just go into a grocery store. It's like, there it is. What are you looking for? There it is. There.
Well, I can do that as long as I know what it looks like that I'm looking for. So
yeah, you gotta pay for that little image at the bottom, the reference point. Yeah.
So tell us, a little bit. We've covered it a bit already, but tell us how you got in the industry initially, and then give us the overview of your career as it's gone through from over the last 20, 25 years.
Obviously, it's a bit of an odd one. So there's a bit of ebb in the tech space. I have a phys ed degree. So unlike most who are business, computer science, even production, I can't draw a straight line. I can't make an HTML page. But when I left the phys ed side, I was somewhat involved in the computers just because I had to do it with my work that I had at university. And my dad was involved. He was a guidance counselor, and he was involved in getting a big technology program started up with a local community college. And he really thought I would do well with it. I got into it. The thing was a shit show, but it ended up really giving me an opportunity to kind of showcase where I felt my strengths were. And I credit that to a course I took at university called Psychology of Buying and Selling. So I really kind of connected with that course because it made me think about what people want and how to listen and not speak, how to analyze, how to really kind of put people in buckets to understand how their personalities might potentially play out, and then how do you best take advantage or leverage that to either get what you want or figure out what they want. So as that progressed, that course got me in front of our local premier, who was very, very popular, probably one of the most popular premiers of all time in New Brunswick. He put me in front of all these big executives. That got me on the face of a California agency, who then I went to work for 3 years. So that was an experience. I learned a lot about what not to do because they were very diligent in taking people apart. So I felt that as a Canadian, I was wanting to build as many as possible, but I also learned how to negotiate contracts really well. Moving on from that, the birth of the internet was obviously taking off in full force. I jumped into an internet business. It fell apart in 2000. I bought it and then sold it in 2001 to a publicly traded company in New York. And that was, again, it was just necessity and need. I found something that I knew could be leveraged, and then I went looking for someone that could leverage it and connected those two and sold it in 6 months. Worked for them for 3 years on a 5-year earnout. So I earned out early. And during that process, we had a gaming portal, and I was always kind of being drawn back to that on the gaming side. And when I left, I had 3 kids in 3 years. I was a busy dad, but the games business brought me back. And that's when I decided to start Gogii.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, over the years, you've done a mix of contract work, work for hire from publishers, and then original work. And that is a ridiculous thing to try to balance. But now, if I'm correct, the majority of your stuff is original titles now, right?
We have, like I said, we've got over 100 and some titles that are original internally that we own. And we've never taken any outside capital or financing. So we've financed everything from cash, which has been a benefit to us. Obviously, when the times are tough, that's when your investors tend to break things apart. And we were very fortunate that I was able to finance the business from the get-go and then finance it when things were tough. So, it was belief in your people. And I just always felt that, like any book publisher or movie producer, the best thing I could ever do is build products that made money for me rather than me building and leveraging all the experience and talent that we curated to make money for someone else. That being said, you move into the mobile space where you're competing against, $500 million marketing budgets. The world changes a bit. So we pivoted from kind of the retail to social online, and we spent a lot of time in that space. We probably spent too much because we jumped into mobile late, made a bunch of games, did some licensing deals. Nothing really worked. And then we partnered with Last Day of Work, Arthur Humphrey, and leveraging his brands with what we really felt was his products were missing a lot of the live ops intelligence that we had learned through our publishing side. And we partnered with him, and honestly, it was one of the biggest catalysts to our business. It brought us back, gave our team the experience they needed to work on games longer, invest in them, learn more about how players played, and then build games better. And we've continued to do that for now over 5 years, and we're now in the process of building and launching new IP again. So, and on top of all that, we've opened another studio that, to your point, Jay, does work for hire. So we're leveraging our own experience and building games for others, but our core studio is building our own IP.
So do you want to talk about the other company that you spun off and plug that a little bit? I mean, because it's fascinating when you did it, because, you and I were talking about stuff and you're like, we've got this great tool that we use internally and now we want to get it out to the world. And then you did, you spun it off and it's a whole new studio, a whole new company. So
it's one of the weird things that we pick up in this space is you never know what you're good at until you talk to others. And that's what's great about even this, the indie business game channel. It's that, it allows us to talk to other people, and we never know how good or how bad someone has it, because on the front face, it always looks really good, and then you talk to them and it's terrible. But there's a mix. There's a blended solution in there. And through so many conferences that I used to attend, that was one of the primary things. Is the most successful guys were desperately bleeding because their best people were working on the same games and they wanted to make new ones. So who takes over those old games? The best people move on because they're tired of constantly managing customer support or dealing with issues that are, rudimentary to them, and they want to do something new. So our teams were able to come in and say, hey, you guys can do that. We'll continue to manage your product, and we're going to take all these other things that we've learned from our experience and apply it. And if there's lift, then we'll both benefit from that. And it's a solution that's worked. So we've now done games with a number of large publishers. We've done games with, small, like Facebook instant messenger games as well. So our studio has kind of done a whole gamut of things, and we're actually just about to ship 2 console games. So, there's a space that if you asked me 10 years ago if I was going to get into console, I said no chance. Like, why would I? And console is just another extension of free to play now.
So which platforms are you putting on console?
We're doing Xbox and Nintendo to start, and hopefully we'll continue to add Sony to that mix as well.
As long as they continue to play nice, and another one of the cycles that we talk about all the time. It's like, why hasn't Sony done cross-platform? Because they don't have to, and they're not going to, because they don't have to.
They're how similar are they to Apple? I mean, they like to have their own people play in their own little space.
And, another generation ago, it was Sony that was so easy to work with, and Microsoft that was like, I just throw up my hands. I can't, deal with this anymore. So it's just another one of those cycles that we continue to see. But I put the link up to your other company, reviq.co. I'm assuming that's the right company I found and posted. So it's basically like a super live ops team.
And development. So the problem when you have just live is that everyone needs updates and development resources with it, and things change. So when you think about someone handing you a product, you're not just going to throw new couches and characters in. They're going to need major things. Platforms need major updates that need support. So we ended up doing the whole thing internally.
Sorry, I was just posting the other thing because it's been one of the most impressive things I think about you and I'm going to, flatter you for a minute. So enjoy it, because I don't do
Very
this.
rare. I will accept the whole thing right now.
One, you constantly, looking, like you said, to see what's next. I've never worked for you, but I'm going to assume from your employees, of which I know many, you're a wonderful guy to work with. You do a lot of things in the community, but you're able to, keep things going and adapt, because, it's like, the industry doesn't change. No matter what people say, it doesn't. It goes through cycles and waves.
Yeah.
But, like you said, it's the same people. We're just all doing different stuff now.
Yeah.
I've always been very impressed of how you've been able to, for lack of a better word, survive, in this, because it is brutal out there.
Yeah, it's extremely tough. Well, one of the things that I've done, and it has not changed, is we give 40% of our profit back to staff. So it's a nice engagement tool. If you want to keep someone, give them the carrot to be successful. Mm-hmm. So, it's great. We make $1 million game. We spend $300,000 to make it. Well, all of a sudden there's, $700,000 there that they get 40% of. And it's perpetual. It goes on forever. So as long as they're an employee of the company, they get bonus checks. So it's a pretty good incentive to want to continue to stick around and be involved. And, in 13 years, I really think we've had one hit. One.
Which one?
And Princess Isabella.
Okay. Because you've had several, as far as I'm concerned, but
we've had a couple of successful products, but I call them manufactured success. Princess Isabella was one of the ones that, the CEOs of 3 different platforms call me on the weekend to buy my company because of one game. Like, that is what I consider a mover in our space. And when that happens, and they're telling you, rather than back in the old days, we would have just, because you had 3 months to pay somebody, you just go and acquire them and never even let them see a royalty for statement. When you have guys like that calling you and say, like, you've broken our sales record. You have something special here. We want the exclusive rights for the future of all these games. That's when, because we weren't tied to any individual, we were Switzerland. We were very independent. We were able to, be able to share with everybody. And we never, that's one of the things I do like, that we were never limited or felt that we were trapped because we were only on one space. So we had a lot of freedom to do a lot of different things. We made a lot of mistakes too. We've, got arrogant. We built games that we probably shouldn't have. But at the end of the day, we're successful because our staff are invested.
And that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
no, it's cool. It's cool. Like, as an owner, and I've been in the space for almost 30 years, that, when you can hand a young kid a check that, it doesn't just pay off their credit card, it buys them a house. You've got a really good employee for life. And that just breeds more motivation and success. And when things are really, really tough, and they're all worried about their job, some of the things that we've done here is to make sure that the core group aren't.
And that, and it gets back. We don't see it very often in the industry, because you look at what's gone on. And everybody likes to point to Telltale a couple of weeks ago or whatever, but that shit's been going on for at least the 20 years I've been doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know. It's unheard of for, a lot of these bigger companies to, give a shit, for lack of a better word, And so, it's something that we like to do here. Obviously I run a much smaller group than you do, but that is the secret to that little success, is having good people and treating them like people, not like, okay, you're a producer, and if you quit, I'll go find another producer because you're just a producer. It's not, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
So what do you do when things get tough? How do you keep the morale up? How do you, because we've all had those, periods in this industry where you're just like, I give up. I can't do this. I'm tired of it.
No, when we collapsed Archie's because we couldn't renew at the terms that we wanted, I I stared around the room, and I even had my VP in the room, and I was like, I don't know what we do next. I haven't had that feeling in my career. Anything that I did, I was always, I don't say over exuberant, but I always saw a path. And I literally was staring at the wall here one night, and I had no idea. I don't know what I do next. I didn't even know if I could sell off what I had. And, and the next morning was payroll. And I had to decide, do I loan the company a lot of money and start over? Really just start building something else that we still had zero, opportunity or chance of success on. And I said, I'll do it. And it was only because I didn't have a backup. I had no other plan. My professional hockey career ship has sailed. So, I didn't know what else to do. So I loaned the company over $1 million, and we doubled down and we got shit done. And it was weird, but it was somewhat freeing to say, because I personally was already successful. I had sold 2 internet businesses. I was doing this because I loved it, and all of a sudden I stopped loving it. And one of the things I did was like my staff rely on me, and they're my family. I have to support them. So I'll take some equity off my side and give it to them and tell them, make sure they know that this is what's going down. So, there's one more big swing. And like I said, timing was everything too. I ran into Arthur at a convention, and I was running around thinking I had to raise money and it's the only way to survive. And I ran into Arthur, and it was just like, this was the most opportune meeting of that year. And it was just so simple. It was just like, hey, you're doing something I really need, and you have all the skills. Why don't we work together? And it's like, yeah, let's do that. And, we've made tens of millions of dollars working together, and just doing what we all love to do, is taking brands that he's built, building on the knowledge of our live ops teams, rebuilding entire games around better ecosystems and better economies, and then shipping them on platforms that support multi-platform environments. And it's all been beneficial. So yeah, it's been a really nice calming place for our business to now look at our future and say, things are really solid. We have solid financials. We have a solid future ahead of us. And now we feel more comfortable building more products again for the market.
That's awesome. So Gamer Husband wants to know, if when you loaned the money, were you married at that point?
Yes, I was. And happily married 20 years.
That is a super inspiring story, though, for sure.
Yeah.
So tell us.
Yeah. So to the rest of the world, Gogii's been this money juggernaut forever, and there was some very, very lean years. When we killed the PC business, we got rid of 40 people. So it's not like we've always had the same staff, but the core staff that are here, only one of them has worked for another business.
Wow.
Everyone that's here has worked for me either out of school or as their first job.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So
and
they've
come with me from the internet businesses, or they started here and that's out of school and they've been here ever since.
I'm going to have to take back at least about a third of what I've said about you over the years. I'm going to
say way more than that, but sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not taking it all back, but yeah, maybe a third. So what advice would you give to folks who are wanting to start their first business in this industry? Because it's always that area, and you and I have talked about this, where I think there's a big hole in the education system in our industry, hence the show. No one teaches us how to run businesses. You learned everything on the fly. I was an English major in college. Yeah. I learned business on the fly. Mm-hmm. What tidbit or tidbits of knowledge would you pass along to the folks that are looking to start their first development company?
I've been probably a huge promoter and investor in the startup community, and I think the biggest flag that I see when I look at investing in businesses is looking at individuals that are looking to start their first business that have never worked for someone before. If you start from zero, you have no reference point. And like I said, I worked for other companies, and I realized I didn't want to do that again, but I needed to know what the other side was like in order to know how to improve on it, or how to make better decisions, or how to plan better, or organize your staff better. All the things you can do have to start from history or experience. And when you don't have any of that, my biggest recommendation is if you have a really fantastic idea, go work for someone else. Don't share your idea, but always be thinking about how what they're doing can make your idea better. And that is everything from capital structure, finance, stock option planning, healthcare benefits. I mean, the range is so beyond what you think doing a business is. As you know, Jay, it's, yes. You know, when you get into business, you all think about your idea is it, and it's not. I spend 90% of my time doing everything but the games business. You know, foreign exchange, Forex trading with cabooses, and, you know, financial planning with HR and insurance guys. Like, that wasn't what I was taught when I thought I was in the games business, but that's what I do that allows the games business to be successful. And I think that's my biggest advice to people getting in space is you need to focus on getting some experience. And if you don't want to work for somebody, that's even better. Suck it up, go work for somebody, and then realize all the things that you feel you can do better. Take that with you to your next business.
Because, yeah, like you said, at least you've got a point of reference there.
Yeah.
You know, I use the bar analogy. Everybody who has ever been drinking comes out and goes, I can start a bar, I can run it, you know. But, yeah, you know, just because you drank in a bar doesn't mean you've been on the other side of that table and you know what's going on back there. Because
or any one of your friends or people that you meet that say, oh, you're in the video games business. I play video games. I should work with you.
Oh, I got a great idea for a game.
Yeah.
So do 6.8 other billion people in this world, you know, but right. That doesn't really help any of us along the way.
No.
And I'll, you know, say the same thing. I worked for people for 10 years and then had a partnership for 3. And so I didn't really have to do a lot of the whole company stuff then. But when I started this company and it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I can't do this on my own anymore. I need more people. It was like all of a sudden I had to do a bunch of I was like, I didn't want to be the boss. I just wanted to, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah. But you know, it is different. So I see, and we've already blown through a lot of these questions that I had for you.
I know.
So I mean, all right, so when is your game coming out on the Switch? Is that going to be free to play?
We are working with Nintendo on that.
Because I was curious, because I haven't seen a lot of free to play games on the Switch.
Yeah, no,
but
I think it could benefit greatly from being free to play. But like I said, we're working with each of the platforms. That's another thing is my arrogance of thinking I could do a game better than Microsoft or Supercell is long gone. But I do work with platforms, and I want to work with them even more closely. But you know, that's another thing. You need to invest in your platforms. Like, you know, we benefit an enormous amount from working with Arthur's brands. They bring us, you know, tens of thousands of organics a day. But if you're not investing in your UA on the Google side or the Apple side or whatever, Steam side, you're not going to see as much love as you should or want. So it's one of the things that, you know, if you don't have strong UA people with strong networks, deep pockets for UA, it's going to be very difficult to be successful. And my best advice is any indie out there that thinks a feature is their marketing plan. It's not. I cannot emphasize enough. There's going to be highlights. Cross Your Road is a great example, but there's a handful. Out of millions, there's a handful of games that have been and can maintain success from a feature. A feature puts you in the spotlight, and I've known more games being shut down from features than I know that became millionaires from features. It's one of the things that we don't want in this business. In our office, no one wants a feature until we are 6 months in with deep legs under us on the live ops side and knowing exactly how our players react, how they work, and where they spend their time, and all of those factors become very integral to a feature being beneficial because you only get a week. And even the games that you see continually come up every week. It's because those studios are also investing enormous amounts of money back into that platform. Those are the things that you have to start focusing on. The best thing you could ever do is be small and successful.
And to be clear, you're not talking about a feature in terms of I have 16 levels. We're talking about being featured.
Yes.
iOS store.
The merchandising on the platform.
You know, when all of that first started, that was like the heyday. That was your golden ticket. If you got featured, and then it got a little less and a little less, and now it's like nothing. I mean, it doesn't give.
It really is. I mean, it's wisdom. It's what we have learned. I mean, I was in the game space for 15 years, and I ran around for 3 to 4 years thinking I needed a feature, and then, you know, like you and I both know, lots of people, and they're in the space. They're like, you really don't want a feature. Here's why. And then you hear that and you run back to your guys. They're like, no more feature requests. Like, it will kill us if we get a feature. Because the worst thing that could ever happen is, you know, it's like putting your Tinder profile at Times Square. You do not want 50 million people all trying to attack your account at once when there's so many things wrong with it.
Andy, write that down as one of our takeaways. You know, getting featured is like having your Tinder profile on Times Square. But so you went. Well, yeah, that's true. So is that the main reason? Because a lot of people don't understand why it's bad. But, you know, is it just the fact that you're getting hundreds of thousands and millions of people that come into your game and they don't know what they're doing?
It's not the volume. It's the fact that unless you're king, you know exactly how your players are going to react 7 months from now. So if you're going to throw that many people at your product, you better make sure your product is so tightly tuned that every variance of that character coming in, that consumer, and how they react differently to your game has been thought through. And you don't get that unless you have already had them through with experience. And the problem with that is that when you have 50 million people come to your product and they don't react properly, what's the chances you get them back when you fix it?
Tiny. And the fact that they're going to give you a shitty review because they didn't like whatever they, you know.
And then your ASO tanks. So those are all the reasons why we, you know, when we used to make games and chase our reps for features, thank God our rep hated us and didn't give us features because it would have killed us. Now we build solid KPIs. We take months to get there, and they come to you. They do. Like, these guys and girls don't know, you know, they're not idiots. They know what they're looking for, and they look for certain games with KPIs. We have one that's got really good KPIs. We have one that gets a feature almost every month. Those two aren't intertwined for luck and circumstance. There's a planning to that, and it fits their merchandise plan. Just like old retail merchandisers used to know what they were doing too.
So I see a lot of developers, you know, small indie teams wanting to do free-to-play mobile games because they're well, this is where everyone is. We have to be in there. You threw out a number before we went on the air, and if you don't want to throw it out again, I completely understand. Give us at least an idea of what it takes per game to have a decent UA, even like soft launch, to get decent numbers to start getting the KPIs that you need to keep going.
The fastest we've ever done it is 3 months. 3 months with 10,000 users, 8 to 10,000. That's the fastest we've done it. Now we've got a game coming up that's got over 50 million installs. So it's the new version of that game is going to get a lot of attention. So we're going to make sure that that one is very, very well planned and tuned before we even try to let the platforms put it in front of everybody.
All right. So, sorry, gamer husband. Again, George and I are in the world of we know what these acronyms mean, and we forget that y'all don't. You know, the whole reason the show's here for us to educate people on this we take for granted, but we're just UA is user acquisition. So that's how much money George is paying to advertisers and whoever else he pays to get the game to pop up to acquire a user. Mm-hmm. And then the KPIs are your, I just blanked on it.
They're the performance metrics in our industry.
Key performance indicators.
Yeah.
So, it's the things that you look at on the back end with your analytics package to know if your game is healthy or not. So what are the big KPIs that you look at, George?
Retention.
Day 1, day 7, day 30, day 90.
Day 30 is probably the most important one that we look at.
Yeah. What's a good range for day 30?
Something north of 12%.
Which is
if it's
phenomenal.
If it's less than that, we cannot actively do user acquisition with multi-channel support. So anyone in the user acquisition side knows that means you can't go to 30 to 50 networks and do user acquisition at a range that you can do it successfully long-term with one product. And one of the things that we were very weak on was creative. We've changed that. So now we do creative, bi-weekly in some cases, because it is one of the biggest game changers in acquiring new users.
So explain what you mean by creative.
So the ad styles that you put together, like the videos, the playable types of games, ads that are available in today's world, those things, because you have to look at user acquisition is the same as any media. So if you're going to put your banner on someone's street, if someone buys products because they saw your banner, that's great. But if they drive by that 50 million times before they do that, your banner has less value than someone who has a sale every 100,000 times. So we're finding creative. These are the things that those people look for. So if we have a click-through rate on a banner that's really high, we get way better inventory because there's a better chance of us generating a lot more revenue for that advertiser because our click-through rates are higher. Someone has seen Candy Crush 1 trillion times. So they have to change creative to almost trick people to not think it's Candy Crush because everyone has downloaded it. And every device that they possibly own, they've already got it. So those are the things that we've started to spend a lot more time on. And I really find it's one of the things that until our live ops teams got the intelligence to know that once you get downstream long enough that you have to know that side of the business. And that's, again, back to being an indie. I have to be a marketing company. I have to know all of the things they most care about in order for me to do my job properly. And I hated user acquisition people 5 years ago. And now they're a very core part of our building blocks.
Like the first time I went to a conference and asked somebody what they did, and he goes, "Oh, I'm a data analyst." And I'm like, "What industry?" In our industry? And it's a huge aspect of this now. And it's one of those things that I like to point out because the free-to-play market isn't a pleasant place for, indie companies. I mean, no matter how good your game is, the reality of it is if you go at it by yourself, you're not going to even be seen. It's not, you're going to get buried by companies that are dropping $1 million plus into UA, every day, every week. So here's one that was announced yesterday. So Stardew Valley is coming to iOS. Mm-hmm. Premium, no microtransactions.
Yeah.
Do you think that we are seeing a safer place on mobile for premium games, or is that an anomaly because it's Stardew Valley and everybody already knows about it?
Well, I think if you go to a license, I think you're going to get that. I mean, I really do believe that. I mean, the performance of hardware on mobile devices now is on par with anything that we even grew up with. So, I mean, there's no reason why any game that you're playing, one, because it's on your phone doesn't mean it's not being displayed on a 60-inch TV either that you can play with friends. It's just an active device. It's a connection piece. I do think there's a nice, healthy revenue stream for single IP products on mobile. I just think that we have spent so much time as a company building free to play as an ecosystem for our business that first, if someone came to me and said, we have a premium game, I wouldn't be that interested in it. I mean, it could be a spectacular game, but the economies for us are actually quite simple. I mean, how much the game costs to build? If it costs nothing to run, that's fine. But if you get a $10 sale, how many $10 sales do you need to back out your development costs? And then what does that look like from a time frame perspective? Free to play is very different. I mean, we have 15 people doing live op real time. So there's a real hard cost to doing free to play. So we make sure as my company model that, they're not going out and spending $1 million in UA knowing they'll never make it back. So we have an ROI, or our return on our investment UA spend is probably the shortest in the industry. Like, I don't know anyone else that is as short as us. And no marketing agency laughs at us when we talk about doing our ROI, but that's the way we do it because our UA guys want to get a commission. And the only way you get a commission if they're profitable in UA. So it's quite simple when it comes to that math. So those are the types of things that we do differently. And I think, as an indie, if you're a 2 or 3, if you're a 10-man shop or 10-person shop, and you think you've got the next greatest game, I think you're 20 people shy of being ready, and that's all of the people that you're not thinking about you need yet.
Again, you can Google what you know, but you can't Google what you don't know. You don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, our customer service people, it's not about building a game that has no bugs. It's about building a game. If you build a game that doesn't require a community, you're not building a brand. You're building a quick game experience. You're building a coin op. And Arthur's built brands. He's built communities of people that have. There's 250,000 people on Facebook on a community we didn't even. All the things that you can do in one of his games that, as a developer that managed the game, we didn't even know it could do. We had to ask them. It was like, they're talking about this. What's this? Oh, yeah, if you do these 3 things in a row, this will happen. And you're like, you never told us that. It's not in the game design doc. He's like, I didn't update the game design doc 10 years. I'm like, hello.
See, and that's the beauty of in Arthur's position. He didn't need to update the game design doc. He was the game design. It's like, well, I put it in there. You should have figured it out. It's
funny because when you finally get him and sit him down. So of the things that you can do in the game, how many people have done them all? He's like, oh, well, there's 8 things that no one's ever done. I've looked at that. I was like, oh, really? What are those 8 things? And he gives them to me. I'm like, how can you do those things? He's like, I forget. Like, really?
I don't know. Yeah. I just work here.
Yeah. But like there's an example of like, we give that type of information to customer service, and customer service engages our community. And what do you think the people that think they finished the game do? They go back and start replaying the game. And what happens? They buy, they spend.
Mm-hmm. And then they spend it on
a brand of people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. And we see it all the time. And that's why, achievement hunting has gotten to be so big. It's like, here's this, it's like, I play Civ 6, and it's like, there are some achievements that you have to plan to hit that achievement when you start the game, before you start the game, in order to do it. But it builds that, people come back and people keep playing it. And when people keep playing it, they tell their friends about it. And, you kind of build off all of that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I had another question. Now I can't remember what it was because, that's the way my brain works. I have no idea. All right. So in the meantime, while I figure out what I was going to say, is Arthur real, or is he just an advanced AI like a quantum computer? What's Arthur's?
He is quite real.
Company was Last Day at Work, or is Last Day at Work.
Yeah.
And they do the Fish Tycoon and Virtual Villagers and Plant Tycoon and all of those types of companies. And we've talked about community. We had, Fail Better Games, that was on, And, she went into detail about how, they invest in their community when they're doing, all of this sort of stuff. And so it's a big thing that we didn't have to worry about 10 years ago.
No,
it was like, we're going to put this on the shelf, or, maybe we would check the forums. I keep forgetting that 10 years ago, we were still in the midst of internet. We weren't doing retail even 10 years ago, but you would check the forums at Big Fish to see if people had, comments, or over at Real Networks. Have you looked at things, or have you played around with things like Discord, for community building? And how do you keep that engagement there?
We have an open system now that we use with our fan base. And like I said, it's a very key point of our business to not only make sure that when we get a bad review, we look at it and see if it's from frustration, if it's from language, if it's technical, and respond to it. I mean, the best thing I find that you can do with your fan base is to continue to keep them engaged. People are just going to yell, or they're going to say something offensive, or, there's always going to be people that want attention, wrong or otherwise. But we make sure that the community sees that we're reacting to it. And I find that's important. It's not only important because of the relationship we have with Arthur and his brands, but with a lot of our games is that we want to really start building what Arthur already had. He built a fantastic community that makes people want to go out and find more things like it. If you played Virtual Families and you've played Virtual Villagers, Fish Tycoon doesn't sound like it's your thing, but people get into it and they realize there's things they understand, there's things that are similar, and when you make people feel comfortable in an experience that's escapism for them, they're going to stay. And that's a really good thing for not only us and our business, but in the way that we continue to build our products is that, we would love to have those same players play all of our games, but there's only so much time in the day. So making sure that we build certain types of products that meet the customer's demand and aren't clones, that's really the core part of our focus moving forward. That's why you don't see us do a lot of license deals that are just, hey, let's make gardenscapes with aliens, or gardenscapes with a license from a movie or TV show. When we do that, we're going to do it and make sure that it's not only attractive and connected to the license, but we want to make sure we do something that makes people feel that this is something I really get and understand. And when they don't, then we didn't do our job properly.
You got to make sure it fits. You can't just shove a game into an IP or an IP into a game.
Yeah. And we see it because I'm a big fan of brands, and I look at a lot of them that come out, and every one of them is another Simpsons game, or another this game, and another that game. And everyone wonders how come they can't scale. It's like, certain games, Simpsons did really well. Family Guy did really well. You know why? The writers are involved. Yeah. The writing of those games are the same people that wrote the cartoons, and that what made the brand what it is. It's funny and it's engaging. And when you just grab a license and no one's involved with it from the other side, then it is a lot less appealing.
I think we talked about that last week with the fact that, how to find the license that works and the red flags that come up, and it's the companies that come to you and go, all right, I want $100,000 up front, but we're not going to do anything because the license speaks for itself. And those are the ones that you just got to, no matter what you think of the license, those are the ones you got to pick up and run from, because they're never, it's never.
And I do think influencers have a real value in our space. I just think that they need to be involved in the product. And the days of, the PewDiePies just promoting your game to their network, I don't think they have value like that anymore. But the guacamoles that are invested with the developer and build a game jointly and talk about it with their community, and then launch the game to their community that had been hearing about this for months, they get involved. That's a true co-publishing deal that's of interest to us.
All right. So we got a question in the chat. There are companies out there that promise exposure through influencer marketing. How does your company address those proposals, and what do you look for?
Well, yeah, similar to what I just mentioned, like I've never worked with them because I haven't seen one that said, "Hey, pay us 50,000, we'll talk about your game." That's not going to do it for us. We're analytical. We're going to spend 50 grand. We're going to track it. We're going to see exactly what works, what doesn't work. We're going to test creative, probably 5 to 8 sets of it. We're going to do all the things that make it less. Let's buy and add in the times and Sunday and just hope it works. We don't do things like that. So like I said, I have less interest in those types of influencers. I do have interest in influencers that have a game idea that connects with their community and thinks that we can build something that is equally or greater than their idea is. And if we find that combination, we at Gogii are going to get excited about it. We're currently working with an influencer now, and we're going to fund the whole project. We think that they can bring an enormous amount of value.
So, I mean, and that's another question for, you as a publisher, are you looking for new games that are already, say, at beta stage? Are you looking for new games to publish from third parties, or is it a situation where it's better for you all to be involved in one way or another from the get-go?
No, actually, I like to see games that have been live in the market with enough market testing to see what was done wrong, and we're not going to get involved unless we know we can fix it. And I've looked at a dozen games just this year, and one of them passed that test. Every one of the other ones were like, no, we can't fix it. It's garbage. But one of them was like, we completely love this product and cannot believe you so missed the boat on this, this, and this. Like, it baffles us, but we have the experience to say that we know how to fix it. So that one's exciting, and that's one of the ones that we have come in our launch menu for the rest of the year. So that one's going to be a fun one.
And that's interesting because you are probably the 1%, possibly 2% of publishing groups that has that mentality. Everybody else has even if you soft launched it in a country that we don't even care about, we don't want to touch your game.
Yeah,
and
no.
You all look at it from, literally the other side. And we want to see what you did and how you adapted. And if it didn't work, that's okay, as long as it's something that we know we can fix in it.
Yeah, and it's not just tweak. Like the takeovers are different because we those are tweaking streams of revenue and increasing it. We co-publish something, we want to get behind something and like radically change it, and that's just not throwing users at it. That's going in and changing the ecosystem of it, looking at the ASO, looking at how their customers, stayed, played, reacted to it. What's the community backside of it? Like all of go into our live ops team, and they come out and they'll say, yeah, like here's the grade of this game. This is what we think we can do to improve it.
All right, tell us what ASO was.
Yeah. So those are the things that make me really excited because, and just like finding Arthur, I love to be able to find these rough diamonds and say, oh my gosh, we can do so much with this. And like I said, I've been successful in my life and my career. And like I do with my staff, the best thing I ever did in the past was, we published a lot of games for Silverback, and, back in the day, Empress of the Deep, their series, they made millions of dollars on that. And it was the best part of my month was sending them money with 2 commas in it. It was great. Because I knew it was changing their lives. And that was really, really important for us to build not only a culture on the East Coast of Canada, but to continue to foster and build a gaming community that, isn't going to be a 50,000 person EA studio.
Yeah. All right. So when you say ASO, what does ASO stand for?
So ASO is it's the algorithms that each platform have that define how you are found in their network. So when someone searches for free games on Google, how could you potentially rank higher than someone else? And that's different on Steam than it is on Apple's iOS platform as it is on Xbox. So they're all very, very different, and it's incredibly tricky to maneuver, and they change it. So every time you think you solved it, you don't. But yeah, I mean, it was one of the things, like Google has been a really good partner for us. They changed our algorithm and we lost 90% of our organics. And it took us a month and a half, and they're back now. So that was credit to Live Ops. They figured it out.
And again, that's something that most indie teams can't do because it's a skill set you don't even really think about, much less plan for and have people set up to, tweak and play with these sorts of things to find that right sweet spot.
Absolutely. I mean, and there's a whole bunch of factors to that became key, but we were able to decipher what the one issue was, fix it. Then you have to wait 30 days because of the algorithm update. And then you have to be patient. And in that patience period, you're doing Google experiments, A/B testing, everything to figure out if there's one thing that works better than the others. And then you finally put together a whole bunch of Lego pieces that turns into something great.
We got a question in the chat. Gogii only does mobile?
Oh, I was answering that.
No, we actually we're a Unity shop in our truest form. We've been in Unity shop since like 2008. So we build Xbox. So we build for console, PC, all mobile platforms, including Amazon. We build for TVs. And we do Insta games as well, like for HTML5 and WebGL.
I know you're busy, man. I don't want to keep you, too much past your runtime, which I know we're already at. If anybody's got any other questions for George, one, hopefully he's on our Discord. We might be able to persuade him to actually stick around and answer questions from time to time. But throw them up there right now. We'll get them answered. And then, yeah, I mean, George, thank you, man. I mean, I love the fact that, we're doing this now and I can, call you up on a weekend and go, hey, you're gonna be on the show Wednesday. And, we can throw this kind of, knowledge out there because it really is, it's a, looks like some of your peeps are on.
Oh, no.
Shout out from the White House.
It's awesome, and I love doing this. And so, if you want to come back and you've got something that's like burning in your brain that you want to talk about, you are always welcome here. And to all of our new folks that are watching, follow us. For God's sakes, tell people about us because, you want to talk about marketing, try marketing an educational business show on Twitch. It's not something that I've got the hang of quite yet.
Irish Steve, thanks for the follow.
But
Irish Stevie. That's who it was.
I think that we're how far are we from 12 Days of Indie? Like a month?
Yeah, a month. Little
right,
less than a month.
I'll pester George for some codes for donations, like off screen, so he can have plausible deniability on that. But yeah, in about a month, we're going to be, an indie game business is a part of this. We're going to be working with Indy when he does a 12-day marathon with all the proceeds going to Toys for Tots.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So
excellent.
Oh, there's a question. Do you use Unity for instant games? And the answer was nope. Ice No said nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
So what do you use for the instant games? Is that an in-house engine?
No, we the guys at Lighthouse are in charge of all of our development. So I think it really kind of depends on the contract. Most of the time, I'm going to say it's HTML5, but some developers prefer it in other forms. So
HTML5 and Cocos. I know some of the folks over at Lighthouse too, so I can poke them if needed. But George, dude, thank you, man.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
thanks for the time.
All
right. Good luck with the show.
Appreciate it, man. And
okay.
Y'all take care. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.